How you doing, friends? In today's video, I want to talk about therapy, specifically psychotherapy. I thought I could give you maybe some tips. Sort of describe what it actually represents. Therapy is like a process and all that stuff. And maybe give you some tips or advice or whatever the hell regarding starting therapy. If you don't already know, I'm August. I'm a computer science student in France, and I'm not the sanest person around. Oh yeah. I'm a good guy. At least I try, so to say. And having strong values and principles sort of instilled into me by my parents, my family in general. It's helped it's helped me keep it together for the most part. I've always been one of those people that believes in therapy, but it was only in spring/summer of last year, so 2021, when I went through some of the worst mental health episodes of my life. And I realized that there's still some stigma inside of my head, stored inside of me towards the idea of going to therapy. I think for me personally, it was it was because I really hoped I'd see this whole self improvement journey through the end on my own, just the way I started it in March of 2019. Sort of like I guess it's sort of maybe like an ego thing. I don't know. Maybe trying to be macho or whatever the hell. But last year spring just showed me that I could really use some help. What exactly happened during last year's spring is a bit hard to explain because there's like a lot of details that sort of contributed, if you will. But the short story is this: a combination of travel, exams, and COVID caused isolation led to burnout, which in turn led to some very, very poor lifestyle decisions, and that led to some of the worst binges I've had in my life, mainly gaming and food, and just with a little bit of depression sprinkled on top. It's about 6, almost 6:30 a.m., 29th of May or something like that. And I shared an article about I guess, I'm pretty sure it was a woman, about why we don't do what's right for us, and basically the end of it was just like, wow, she just said that basically we don't think we deserve it, and personally, I think I really do. What do you call it? I guess agree with that. Anyway, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna go take a walk. I haven't slept all night. It was pretty bad. I had days when I would eat fast food, drink Coke, and game until 7 a.m., and then sleep till the evening. Then I'd wake up at 5 p.m., Uber some food over, and then repeat. It was actually 3 to 4 days before my mom came to visit that I had, finally had one of those, I had to stop type of moments, and I started cleaning myself up. I guess it was really, my shame that motivated me. Not wanting my mom to see the state that I was in, both physical and mental. And while she was here, one day we had this conversation about, honestly, God knows what, I don't remember, but basically I got the courage to tell her that I could really use some help. So my mom found me this well-rated therapist through some friends. Some weeks passed, and I finally got an appointment, and I went. Before we get into the first session, I think it's important that we talk about what really, therapy really is, because I feel like a lot of people don't believe in therapy actually don't truly understand what this, the whole, process is about. What it represents in their eyes. Therapy is this thing you do that when you have psychopathic visions about killing your whole family and friends. And well, honestly, it can be really. That's kind of the thing. When you say therapy, it can mean a couple of things. Because it's a pretty general term. A term. It can be physical therapy in the form of a massage. It can be cryotherapy that I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, especially athletes. Behavioral therapy, which is used to change somebody's big surprise behavior. Um, But in this video, I want to talk about psychotherapy, also called talk therapy, or the usual just therapy, which is a form of treatment aimed at relieving emotional distress and mental health problems. Something that I didn't really know about before starting therapy is that during this whole process, you're going to have to do a lot more effort on your own, so to say, a lot more research on your own. You're going to have to make a lot of more effort, take effort. Anyway, you're gonna have to do a lot more research on your own, so to say. In hindsight, it kind of makes sense, that you don't just go to this session, then one day you walk out and you're like perfect or whatever. But I don't know. I guess I just didn't think about it. Now, the way I like to think about therapy, the way I like to explain this process is that it's the self-development process that doesn't really ever end, and that it's fueled by self-awareness. The way it works is you go about your day and you try to notice different things about yourself, about your behavior in different situations, and that's the self-awareness part. And then you go into the lab, and analyze your findings with a specialist or therapist, and that's the therapy session, the actual session that you talk to a therapist. I think that's a pretty good analogy. I'm pretty proud of myself for that one. I think it's a pretty good summary of what this process is about. If you have any comments on this, maybe you disagree, I don't know, leave a comment down below and let me know or whatever. Just like any other process, the most important step is to start. That goes hand in hand with acknowledging that you might be better off with some help. Personally, I think we could all use some help because, we're all kind of fucked up, But, I guess some people could, would benefit more. Oh, yeah. The first therapy session is very easy. At least it was for me. Probably because I'm a very open and honest person. The whole process kind of seems natural to me. This is not like a brag or whatever. This is, I'm just one of those guys that'll start talking about his porn addiction 5 minutes in a conversation with someone he just met, Fortunately, though, that can be a good thing when it comes to therapy. Anyway, the first session is all about letting the therapist, the specialist or whatever, letting me know, who you are and why you're there. In fact, that's why in therapy, as I mentioned, it's very important to be honest and open, to speed things along, or better yet, not slow down an already sometimes complicated process. Personally, I actually had two first therapy sessions, so to say, because, well, long story short, the first therapist canceled the second session because of some emergency or something, and then just ignored my messages. And, well, to this day, I am still not sure what happened. Yeah. But I did like her approach. We started out by sharing some information about ourselves for like a minute and a half each. And then we, just to get to know each other. And then she had me do some kind of like test or whatever the hell to, I guess, find out more about me. And then at the end of the session, we started to, attack some of my issues, if you will. The second one was pretty different because I sort of wanted to get through this whole introduction part, as quickly as possible. So I just described my whole situation and tried to mention as many, important details as I could, as fast as possible. Next, I don't really have a segue here, I'm not gonna lie. Something that feels like important to mention is that the therapist is not there to judge. I think a lot of people don't really get the idea of paying somebody to, how do I put this? Paying somebody to just, just to get judged by them because of your biggest secrets or something. But that's the whole thing why you should go to see one. A licensed therapist, like your friends, is a specialist who knows how to react when you tell them sensitive information, And this is actually something that Jordan Peterson sort of talks about a little bit in this in his 12 Rules for Life book. And I wish I could find this. Right? There's this chapter, rule number 9, called "Assume that the person you are listening to might know something you don't." And he sort of, in this chapter specifically, he talks a lot about what therapy sort of represents as a process and as a like as a treatment, I guess you'd say, as like an activity, and what a therapist's job really is. And I wish I could find this. Basically, he talks about the difference between advice and a real conversation, because the way he describes it is that when you're talking to a friend, they're most likely to give you an advice, which is not really compassion that you actually need, as much as just a way of them to tell you, you just do this and just stop this whole thing. I don't want to, deal with this, if you will. And whereas when you go to therapy, it's an actual conversation where you talk and the person across the room from you actually listens to what you have to say, which is also a very important thing. And it's really, I guess you could say that the whole job of the therapist is to create an environment for you to grow in, and to nudge you in the right direction by to be able to solve your problems on your own in a way. You know what I mean? Finally, setting a goal. This is something that I did not really expect that I'd have to do. I'm not sure why, but I just kind of froze when my therapist asked me about it. I thought that I would just go talk to this person, and then like an hour or two later, I'd come out of the office feeling fucking better. But apparently, it's not that easy. I've been told. But, what you gotta do. I guess in hindsight, again, it does kind of make sense, because when you have a goal, you know what you're working towards, and therefore, the whole process becomes more efficient. And, well, why wouldn't you want it to become more efficient, And speaking of the very efficient process, what happens after the first session? Well, I'm still in my first therapy journey, therapy cycle, if you will. But from what I've read, seen, and experienced myself, this is what I'm getting. You go to the first session, right? That's the first step. Then you go into the field, experiment, and gather the data, and you go into the lab, again, my amazing analogy, and you analyze the data with a specialist, and that's sort of the therapy session, and like the whole process really just like over and over and over again. And it's really just a loop that only ends when either you or the therapist decide that you're done dealing with a certain goal, a certain issue, problem, whatever it is, right? And then you have to make another decision, which is whether you keep going with another goal or you stop and take a break for the time being. And then that's it. Not just for the therapy sessions, but also this video, because I'm done. That's all I had to say. Except there's also some helpful websites in the description down below that I personally found to be helpful. I really hope that this video helped you in one way or another. If it did, don't forget to drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel. You can click here to watch my video on journaling, which is a habit that will definitely help you get started with the whole just help you train that self-awareness skill and become better. And click here for my full playlist of self-development related videos. And here to subscribe. See ya!